Nathaniel, this mock-up test fit has been extremely handy. I've been able to move this engine around to different points to where it was going to create more work and headache, and back off of that a little bit and a little here and a little there, and I've really got it in a sweet spot. Got your engine about 3 degrees down in the back right now. I've moved it up into the fan shroud where the fan is fitting perfectly in the fan shroud, and you can still get the fan off of the motor without having to pull the radiator or pull the engine, so that's working out real nice. I've marked the modifications I got to do for the lower radiator hose, and I was able to lower the engine just a little bit in the back, which is going to help me with a lot of fabricating that I was going to do inside. I've got that down to just one small little bit of fabrication inside there now. So let's take and pull this front clip off. I'm going to pull the motor and frame all back out from under it, and then we'll start mocking up for our bolsters, for the for boxing in the frame and cross member work and all that. So I've already kind of laid all that out while I had it mocked up. I'm even going to have to modify the bottom of the cab just a little bit, but that'll be so easy to do when all this is out of the way. So, alright, now I got your frame back out and I've got it perfectly level, and I set the engine back exactly where it needs to be, and I know exactly where I want to put these front mounts. Now I'm going to make these front mounts a lot better than what they would have been if we just put on top of this frame. As it is, this mount is supposed to be just setting right here on this landing, and I want to move this motor back just a little bit, so and that would be sitting on there like that. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make me a little landing right here for that, so that this pad has, this bushing has a pad to sit on, and it'll wear real nice like that. With it hanging over the edge, it's just going to start cracking and not be good for it at all. Then on the inside, I'm going to weld in this. I'll sandblast this, clean this up, and weld this on the inside, and then you'll have a washer and a bolt on that back side of it, and it'll be pretty strong right there. Now that I've got these welded in, you can see how much thicker that is, and now I have a real nice landing on the back side of that that's welded in for the nut and washer to land on. And then I've blasted and pickled these and pickled that area, and I'm going to these are some old spacers that were on your truck. I'm going to weld them in place, and that's going to make a nice little pad for me. See how I've made the little pad for your engine mount to sit on. That thing's going to sit there and be vibrating forever, and it'll wear very nicely on that, as opposed to being over the top of this other stuff here. And then now you can see how nice that is. Oh, now it's time to get this thing up on the rotisserie. I got the blaster coming. I went ahead and laid out all these parts. Everything I think I'm going to go ahead and blast it right now. Blast off the frame, then I put it, etch it, and I put it in epoxy. That way everything is sealed off inside and out. And I'll epoxy and prep the inside of all this stuff, and then we'll start putting all this on, and hopefully we'll get it painted up here pretty soon.
Well, Nathaniel, I don't know if you can hear me out here. We got this frame out here getting blasted, and I'm going to give you a closer look at how this stuff is coming off of here.
Nathaniel, we've got your frame blasted, and I got to give a big shout out to Monica at CNL Blasting. She knocked it out of the park. She really gets focused in on trying to get every bit of that rust off of this. And from about midways back, the Bronco's frame was extremely rusty, and she spent a lot of time getting that rust out and all the pits out, and it is completely blasted. So now it's time to get this thing sealed off. I use this Picklex product. I get a lot of comments and questions about Picklex. So what this is going to do for me, it's going to neutralize any oxidization that's on your frame. So as soon as this thing was exposed to the atmosphere, the minute the blaster went over it and the atmosphere hits it, it starts to oxidize. Now when she gets done with it, she washes it off with a whole type 102, and that's a neutralizer as well. But it's not as strong as this Picklex product. I'll come through here and I will pickle this entire frame, and then it'll be ready for the epoxy. I'm going to use a 2-part epoxy on it. This pickling is going to put a little edge in it. It's going to neutralize the rust. Then that's going to let that epoxy grab a hold of that edge and give it a tooth bond. And the epoxy is like a liquid glue, so it's going to have a chemical bond as well. So when I get this epoxy on here, your frame is going to be sealed off just outstandingly well. Then I'll go in here and do all the work and put in all your bolsters and stuff that I want to add to the frame. And then I'll go back and sand all that and epoxy pickle all that, and then we'll put a single stage ceramic paint on this, a semi-gloss black paint that will hold up for a long, long time. Now, while I was having all the blasting done on the frame, I went ahead and had your rear tank cover blasted, so it'll be pickle, primed, and painted, and that'll be done. Went ahead and had your I-beams done, and that just saved a huge amount of work. These will be painted and done here pretty soon. As well as your rear hitch, went ahead and had it done as well. So I got it completely etched, and this thing is completely clean and never been touched by human hands at this point. So that there's no chance of oxidation anywhere. So you can really see how etched that's getting. It'll be an extremely good bond between the sealer or the epoxy and that edge. It'll bite into that and be a good solid seal. So let me let this thing flash off. While it's flashing off and all this edge coming out of it, I'm going to go in here and mix up my epoxy, and we're going to start shooting some epoxy. This thing will look awesome. Now I do see where these hangers go on right here. These back two hangers, probably want to change those spring hangers. There's so much rust built up between them. This back is extremely rusty. It's swelling those plates out, and a bunch of weight and stuff we got on it. Might be a good idea to look for another pair of these, or at least remove them, clean all that out, maybe plate it, put them right back on. So let's get this thing epoxy. Two-part epoxy in the gun. I think to spray the frame one good wet coat of epoxy. Alright, and there it is. That's one good thick coat, both sides, top,